In this video, we are going to learn about genetics. Genetics is the science which studies the transmission of characteristics from the parents to the offspring. We know that the father and the mother donate half of their genes to make full set of the chromosomes which pass to their offspring. So this we call it inheritance or heredity. Inheritance. So what is inheritance? It is the transmission of characteristics from the parents to the offspring. And the science which study this, we call it genetics. The science which study the transmission of characteristics from the parents to the offspring is genetics. The father of modern genetics is Gregor Mendel. This man studied pea plant. Mendel, the father of modern genetics, is Mendel. He studied pea plants. And pea plants, the scientific name of pea plant is Piscium sativum. And why he studied pea plants and why it was an excellent choice. First of all, one, pea plants are seasonal. They can grow 3 to 4 times a year. It means what? It means it can study the plants, their offspring, and maybe their offspring. So in 1 year, he can study from 3 to 4 generations, which can make the result show more clear. 2, pea plants are bisexual. It means what? It means they have male and female reproductive organs. So pea plants have flowers, and these flowers contain both the male and the female reproductive organs, which means what? It means he can self or cross-pollinate the flowers. He can pollinate the flower by itself to get pure, or he can pollinate it from another plant to get mixed or hybrid results. So pea plants have bisexual flowers which can be self-pollinated or cross-pollinated by other flowers. Also, they can be cultivated and studied very well and easily. And it is also one of the most important things in pea plants that they have contrasting characteristics. So they have contrasting characteristics. They have 7 contrasting characteristics. They have tall plant and short. They have round seeds and wrinkled. They have yellow seeds and green. They have inflated seed pod and constructed. They have green and yellow. They have pink flowers, white flowers. They have axial or terminal. They have tall plant or short plant. So pea plants have contrasting characteristics and they can be seen clearly. So we can understand this characteristics came from the father or from the mother. It came from the male or the female, which was used in pollination. So how many contrasting characteristics are found in pea plants? That's going to be 7. But how many characteristics are found in pea plants? They are 14. So they are 14 contrasting, tall, short, pink, white, or we can say they are 14 in total. The characteristics in pea plants are 7 contrasting characteristics, or they can be 14 characteristics. And one of the most important things, and we can say Mendel was lucky. Why? Because every characteristics was carried on one chromosome of a homologous pair. It means what? It means this chromosome contains only one characteristic. For example, the height of the plant, T capital. This chromosome contain the color of the seed, Y capital. This chromosome contains the shape of the seed, round, R capital, or capital, or R small, R capital, R small. So every characteristic is carried on single chromosome. In other organisms, one chromosome contains many genes. Here there is a gene responsible for something, and here's another, and here's another, and here's another. So in pea plants, every characteristic is carried on one single chromosome, which made it easy to study these characteristics. They came from the father or from the mother, and they made it easy to study the mechanism of the transmission of characteristics from the parents to the offspring. Before we start, we need to understand that there are 7 contrasting characteristics in pea plants, and there are dominant and recessive. To be able to study and to answer questions about genetics, we need to be familiar with these genotypes. The genotypes are the letters which can represent the characteristics. For example, if we have round seed, we are going to see R capital. This is the dominant. If we speak about wrinkled seed, that is going to be R small, which is the recessive. If we have yellow seed, that is going to be the dominant, Y capital. If we study green seed, that's going to be Y small. So if we have characteristics, we use the letter of the characteristics of the name of it. And the recessive, we use the same letters, but in the small case, not capital. If we have inflated, like the seed pod, if we speak about the seed pod, inflated is dominant, I capital. But if we have constructed, that is going to be I small. If we have green pod, that's going to be G capital. The recessive of it is yellow, which is G small. And do not confuse between yellow color as color of the seed, and which is dominant, and the yellow color of the seed pod, which is recessive, and the dominant is the green. Let's see here. If we have pink flowers, that's going to be R capital. If we have white flowers, that's going to be R small. If we have exile flowers, that's going to be A capital. If we have terminal, the flower at the top, here the flowers are not at the top of the plant. Here the flowers at the top of the plant, that is going to be A small. If we have tall plant, that's going to be T capital, and the recessive of it short, which is T small. Now let's see here. It says, this question says, what is the genotype of green seeds? Now the green seeds, we have yellow seeds are the dominant, and the letter of yellow seed is Y capital. Green seeds are the recessive, so we are going to use Y small. This is going to be the genotype of it, which is this one, number 3. The answer is number 3. Let's hear, this is another question. It says here, what is the genotype of constructed green? Constructed, here we have inflated and constructed. We know that constructed is going to be the recessive. Constructed, I small. Constructed, the letter refer I small. And green pod, and the green pod is the dominant here. Green pod is the dominant, G capital. Now, which of this represent this characteristics? Let's see here. The first one, this is green, true, but this is inflated, not constructed. So this choice is not correct. This one, it means yellow. G small is the yellow. Here, as you can see, yellow seed pod is G small. So this is not correct. Let's see here. This is green. This is green pod. Correct. And this is constructed. So this is the correct choice, which is number 3. Why? Because it shows the characteristics which are mentioned in the question, green and inflated. Let's see here. What's the genotype of round seeds? Round seeds. The genotype of round, green. Now here we have two characteristics. Round, R capital, R capital. Green seed, that is going to be Y small, because the seed, Y capital is the dominant, which is yellow. The green is Y small. So where we have this genotype? Let's see the first one. R capital, correct. Y small, also correct. This is the correct choice because it shows round seeds and it shows yellow and it shows green seeds. It shows round and green. The second one, round and yellow. This one, this is wrinkled and this is green. This is wrinkled, not round. So the only correct answer choice is number one. So let's see what Mendel did to study genetics. What did Mendel do to study characteristics in pea plants and inheritance in pea plants? First of all, for a while, he just self-pollinated the plants. If we have plant with pink flowers, we have plants with pink flowers, and we have plants with white flowers. Let's say this is the white flowers. Now, he self-pollinated the plants with pink flowers by themselves for many generations until all the generations were only pink, had pink flowers. Now all the offspring had pink flowers, and he pollinated the flowers which have white flowers by themselves until all the offspring had white. Now he had pure characteristics. He had pure pink and pure white flowers. This was the first step. Then he crossed between them. He pollinated the pink flowers by white flowers, plants with white flowers. Now he took pink flowers, these plants with pink flowers, and he pollinated them with plants with white flowers. And what he found was surprising. All the offspring had pink flowers. And this was the first surprise for Mendel because he thought he will get 50-50, he will get a mixture of both colors, but what he got was 100% pure pink, 100% pink. And this was like surprise for him. He took one of this is now, we call it F1. He took one of these and self-pollinated. He took pink flowers, plants with pink flowers, and self-pollinated them. And now what he got was also a surprise. It was pink, the offspring was pink, and one of them was white. It means 25% was white and 75% were pink. So these were all pink, and this was white. And the ratio was 75% pink and 25% white. Now, let's see what he did. He used pink flowers, let's refer to that R capital, with white flowers, let's refer to this R small. Now, the gametes, these are the parents, the gametes. How many gametes can be made of R capital? Only one gamete because it is the same. So here the gamete is 1. And here the gamete also is 1. So he crossed them. He got R capital, R small. This is dominant. So this flower was pink. 100%. Do you have anything else? No, it was pink. Now he took this one and self-pollinated it. So he took R capital, R small, and crossed it or self-pollinated with itself. So the genotype will be of the parent the same. Now here, how many gametes we have? Two. R capital, this is the first one. R small, this is the second one. And here the same. The gametes are capital, R small. Now let's see. If we cross them, the first with the first will give us R capital, R capital. Or let's use another color to make it clear. The first with the first, R capital, R capital. That's going to be pink. The first with the second is going to be R capital, R small, also pink. Now let's see. The second with the first is going to be R capital, R small, also pink. And the last one, which is the small with the small, R small, R small, this is white. So that is why we get 75% pink, the dominant, and 25%, 5%, which is white. Now, these are the percentage. This is the percentage we got from this cross. Now, let's come to conclusions. We concluded that there are characteristics which are dominant. Dominant characteristics appear in F1, 100%. So, the dominant in F1 appeared by 100%. Let's see here. The dominant in F2 going to be 75%. And we have other characteristics, we call them recessive. The recessive in F1 does not appear, so it's going to be 0%. And in F2, it will appear again, but its percentage is going to be 25%. So we have some characteristics are dominant and characteristics are recessive. The dominant will appear in all the offspring of F1, first filial generation. And it will appear in the second filial generation with percentage which is 75%. And the recessive will appear in F1 with 0%. It will not appear if they both are pure, it will not appear. But it will appear again in F2 with 25%. So this is if we speak about percentage. But if we speak about ratios, how can we find the ratios? If I say 75% to 25%, the ratio is, I'm going to divide over 25, number by which we can divide to get the smallest number. This is going to be 1, this is going to be 3. The ratio is 3 to 1. If I have 50%, I'm going to divide over 50, that's going to be 1 to 1. And this is how we find the ratio and how we find the percentage. Now, let's speak about Mendel's first law. Mendel's first law, it states that from these experiments, Mendel concluded that we have characteristics in every organism. This law is called the law of segregation. Segregation means separation, to separate. So, Mendel's first law says that the characteristics of an organism are determined by hereditary factors. It means there are something inside of the organism which determine its characteristics. Mendel called them alleles. And the alleles are the forms of the genes. These alleles separate away during the formation of gametes, and they rejoin again during fertilization. Each gamete carries one genetic factor for each trait. Let's see how this happens. Imagine this is the chromosome, and these are the alleles of being tall. That's going to be T capital, T capital. And let's imagine this is the female. It has the recessive T small, T small. Now Mendel said every characteristic is carried on two alleles, represented by two alleles, and they will separate. They will separate during the formation of gametes. This allele will separate, and this allele will separate in the gametes, and the mother alleles also will separate, and the second one will separate. Mendel said these alleles will rejoin, they will come back during fertilization. It means this from the father will rejoin with this of the mother. So this is what Mendel meant. He said every characteristic is carried on two alleles, and they separate during the formation of gametes, and they rejoin during fertilization to give us new combination, which will make the characteristics appear in the offspring. Now let's see here some questions to understand how to solve questions about Mendel's first law. It says here, cross and pea plants with wrinkled seed with another round seed. Now let's start here. Wrinkled seed, which is R small, R small. Round seed, which is R capital, R capital. It can also be R capital, R small. Now let's see here. This is recessive. It is wrinkled seed or recessive. Now it means 0 in F1, 0 wrinkled seed. This is correct. Why? Because the recessive will be 0 in F1. It tells us here 75% round seed. No, this cannot happen, because ring dominant and recessive will not give me 75% from F in F1. 25 round seed, no, it should be 100, or if it is heterozygous both will give me 75. Is it 25 wrinkled seed? No, the recessive does not appear in F1. Let's look at this question. Crossing a pea plant with pink hetero. Now pink heterozygous, it means what? It means R capital, R small, with another which is recessive. Recessive means what? It means white, because white is the recessive color of the pink. Pink is dominant, and the recessive is going to be white, R small, R small. Now it tells us, it gives us how many pink flowers. Let's see how many pink flowers. How can we work out this example? Here we have gametes R capital, and we have R small, and in this genotype we have only one gamete R small. If we cross them, that's going to be R capital, R small, which is pink, and the second one will be R small, which is white. So how many of them will be pink flowers? That is going to be 50%. If it tells us how many will be white, also that's going to be 50%. Let's look at another question here. It says, crossing a tall pea plant with short, tall with short, result in tall plant if the tall plant is heterozygous. Now, crossing a tall plant, that is going to be T capital, T small. Why? Because it tells us it is heterozygous. With short, and the short is the recessive, which is T small, T small. The gametes here, how many gametes we have? In the male we have T capital and T small. Here I have only one gamete, which is T small. Now let's see how we do it. The first with the first is going to be T capital, T small, and the second with this one, T small, is going to be 50% tall, 50% short. So it tells us here how many short. The short will be 50%. Let's see here. Genotype and phenotype. The genotype and phenotype, as we saw before, are capital or small. There are internal factors. The genotype represent the internal factors which we cannot see. That's going to be T capital, T capital, T capital, T small, T small, T small, and so on. So the genotype can be dominant or recessive. Can be dominant or can be recessive. The dominant is going to be T capital, which is homozygous, or T capital, T small, heterozygous. The recessive can only exist in homozygous state, which is T small, R small, Y small, whatever. So we have genotype, and the genotype can be dominant or recessive. If it is dominant, it can be homozygous, the same, or heterozygous, which is different. Homo means the same, hetero means different. The recessive can exist only in the homozygous, which means the same, not different. So this is, if I say T capital, T small, this is going to be dominant, but it is heterozygous. T capital, T small, T capital, homozygous, pure, or homozygous dominant. Let's answer these questions. It says, which of the following represent a heterozygous? Hetero means different. Dominant genotype. So this is not the first hetero, but the second no, homo. And it is recessive. So this is dominant and recessive. This half the answer is correct, but the other half is no. This one is homozygous, but it is dominant. It says hetero, not homo. This is homo pure or homo, which is dominant. And the last choice is the correct answer because it represents hetero, different, and dominant. So this is the correct answer. Let's see the second question says, which of the following represent a homozygous? Dominant. So the first one is homozygous, but it is not dominant, it is recessive. So this is not the answer. This one is hetero. This one homo, dominant. This is the correct answer. We choose this answer. Let's look at the question after it. Which of the following represent a recessive genotype? The first one here, dominant. No, this is dominant. This recessive. So this is the correct answer. Always the recessive will be small letters, not capital. Let's see here. It says crossing R capital, R small result in how many genotypes and how many phenotypes? Let's do it. R capital, R small with R capital, R small. The gametes here are two, R capital and R small. The gametes here are the same, two, R capital and R small. Let's see if we cross them, we can also use Punnett square. What is Punnett square? We will make square like this. And here we'll make 4 according to the number of gametes. Here I'm going to put the male gamete, R capital, R small, and here I'll put the female gamete, R capital, R small. Now, if we cross them, it's going to be R capital, R capital. The one after, R capital, R small, R capital, R small. So cross this one with this one is going to be R small, R small. Now let's speak about the genotypes and phenotypes. This is going to be pink. This is pink. This is pink. The last one is white. So I have pink and white. How many genotypes and how many phenotypes? The phenotypes are going to be 2, which is pink and white. Let's see the other one here, the genotype. R capital, homozygous dominant. Let's see the second one. R capital, R small, R capital, R small. This is dominant but heterozygous. The last one here is the last one, homozygous but recessive. So how many genotypes we have? 1, 2, 3. If I have the genotype repeated, I counted only 1 time. So how many genotypes we have? The genotypes are 3. What is the ratio? It's going to be 25. This is the percentage, and this is 50%, and this is 25. So what is the ratio? 1 to 2 to 1. The question here says, how many genotypes? And we found out that the genotypes here we have 3. And how many phenotypes? And the phenotypes we found them 2. So where is 3 and 2? That is going to be 3 and 2, choice number 2. Now, after knowing the genotype and phenotype, we have a problem with the dominant, because the dominant, for example, this is a tall plant, and the tall plant can be T capital, or it can be T capital, T small. We cannot know. Can we determine the genotype of the dominant characteristics from the phenotype? We cannot. This is tall plant, but we don't know it is pure or not pure. We don't know it is homozygous or heterozygous. So what is the best way to know? We use test cross. What is test cross? It's crossing a dominant characteristics with recessive. Why with recessive? Because we know the genotype of the recessive. So if we cross this plant with this one, T small, short plant. I have tall plant, I cross it with short plant. When I pollinate it by this short plant, I have short plant. If I pollinate the tall plant by the short plant, I'm going to plant the seeds and see what I will get. If I get 100% tall, 100% tall, that is going to be T capital. If I got 50% tall, that is going to be the heterozygous T capital, T small. How is that? If the plant is tall, that's going to be T capital, and it is pure. I cross it with the recessive, which is T small. The gamete here is 1, T capital, and the gamete here is 1, T small. If I cross them, that is going to be T capital, T small. So 100% tall. Let's see the other case. If it is heterozygous, that's going to be T capital, T small. I cross it with T small, which is the short. How many gametes in the first one? Is only 1, T capital, and this is the second one. So 2 gametes. The second one, how many gametes? 1. So if I cross them, that's going to be T capital T small, tall, and this with this T small, T small. So 50, 50%. So how can I determine the genotype of the plants or the offspring if the dominant of the dominant characteristics? We cannot determine it from just looking at it. We need to cross it with recessive characteristics so we see the result. If it gives us 100%, it is homozygous. If it gives us 50-50, it is the heterozygous genotype. Let's look at these questions here. It says, crossing a pea plant result in 3 plants with yellow seeds and 1 green. I have 3 plants, yellow, and 1 green. Which one can give me this genotypes or phenotypes in the offspring? 3 green, 3 yellow, and 1 green. The first one, what is it going to give us? The gamete here Y capital and here Y small. Cross them, it will be Y capital Y small, 100% yellow. So this is not the correct answer. The second one, this here we have 2 gamete Y capital Y small, and here I have 1 gamete. If I cross them, Y capital Y small, Y small, Y small, 50-50. This will give me 50-50. It will give me 1-to-1. This is not the correct answer. Now this one, let's see. How many gametes? Y capital Y small, and here Y capital Y small. The first with the first, Y capital Y capital. The first with the second, Y capital Y small. The second with the first, Y capital Y small. And the last one with the last one, Y small, Y small. That is going to be 3 yellow, 1 green. So this is the correct answer, which will give us 3 yellow and 1 green. It's got to be like this one. The question after it says, was the genotype of the parents if 50% of the offspring had pink flowers and 50% white? The first one will give me 100% pink, not the correct one. This one will give me 3-to-1, 3-to-1 like the one before, like this one. So this is not the correct one. This one will give me also 100% pink. This is not the correct answer. Let's see this one. R capital, R small. I cross it with R small, R small. The gametes here we have 2, 1, 2. The gametes here I have only 1. So this with this one, R capital, R small. This with this one, R small, R small. So it's going to be 50-50. 50 pink, 50 white. This is the genotype which will give me this result. Let's look at this one. The question says, cross an pea plant with yellow seeds with another which has green seeds resulted in 9,360 seeds. How many of them were green? That is going to be 2,340. And how many were yellow? That's going to be 7,020. Now let's see the ratios of these. The total plants, 9,360. Of them, I got 2,340. These are what? These are green. Green. And I have 7,020. Yellow. Now what is the ratio of them? This is the total. The total, if I just divide it over 4, this is going to be 1 and this is going to be 3. Let's see it from another way. If I find the ratio, if I divide this as 2,340 and this is I divide it over 2,340, I'm going to get 1, 2, 3. So which genotype will give me 1 to 3? The first one here, is it going to give me this ratio? No, it's going to give me 100%. So not correct one. This one, the heterozygous, will give me 3 to 1. If I cross it, Y capital, Y small, Y capital, Y small is going to be Y capital, Y capital, Y capital, Y small, Y capital, Y small, Y small, Y small. So 3 to 1. So this is the correct answer. Let's look at the second question here. It says, crossing a pea plant with yellow seeds with another has green seeds resulted in the same question. But here the ratios are different. It says 4,680. Now let's see here. The total amount is 9,360. Of them, 4,680. Now, as we can see, this is half the number of this. These are the green. These are green seeds. What is left of them will be the yellow seeds. 4,680. Yellow. As I can see, the ratio here is 50-50, the percentage. So the ratio is going to be 1 to 1. Which genotype will give me 1 to 1? The first one will give me 100%, not correct answer. This one will give me 3 to 1, not correct. This one will give me 100% short. This one will give me 50-50 because the gametes Y capital, Y small, and this is Y small, Y small. The gametes here are 2, 1, 2, and the gametes here only 1. That is going to give me Y capital, Y small, Y small, Y small, 50-50, 1 to 1, which is this exactly the same as the ratio of this question mentioned. So the correct answer is number 4. Those were the questions about Mendel first law, and here are the applications which we need to study very well because they always appear in questions in the ministry exams. It says application of Mendel, which is complete dominance. It says the gray color dominate over the white in mice. So if you have white mouse and gray, the gray will dominate. The black skin will dominate over the red in cattle. Not having horns will dominate over having horns, also in cattle. The black color dominate over brown in horses. It means if you cross a black horse and if it is like pure with brown, is going to give us black horse. Short hair dominate over long hair in cats. And in human, if you have the hazel or honey color of the eye, dominate over the colored eyes, which are green or blue. And the yellow skin, which is like ours, dominate over the white skin. And the pointed nose dominate over the flattened nose. Those were some of the applications of Mendel's first law, which made us understand genetics and to determine which is dominant or recessive. This was the first video which explains Mendel's first law, and those were the type of questions which can be asked about this first law. And until the next lesson, see you.